Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Why Are We Like This, a Heartstopper podcast. I'm Ashley, she, her.
And I'm Alyssa, she, they. And today we are here to talk about episode 6, Girls.
Woo!
Woo! I love that they use girls in, what episode is it?
The second one.
Yeah, where they use it in the montage of Tara and Darcy. But I'm like, you have an episode called Girls, right? There's no girl in red in this episode.
Nope.
There's no girl in red.
There should have been.
Yeah.
Used brilliantly, but they definitely should have used something in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get started, we did get a DM on Instagram from Kaza86. And they said, "Hey, I just found your podcast recently, and I just listened to the episode with Georgie. And she said that they thought the boys filmed in Brighton, and I just wanted to let you know that the beach was actually Herne Bay, which is in Kent. Brighton's about an hour away from Herne Bay." And then they said, Alice said Herne Bay is their local beach town, so it's close to where they grew up. So that makes sense as to why it would be included in the show. But so thank you for the information.
So episode 6, Girls, was, like all the episodes, written by Alice Oseman and directed by A. Ross Lynn. And this is the episode where, according to both IMDb and Netflix, Tara makes her relationship official on social media, but she isn't ready for the side effects. And the friends try to play matchmaker with Elle and Tao, or as I like to call it, the one with the milkshakes.
The iconic milkshakes.
So Nick is Googling best LGBT movies, which aren't we all?
Yeah.
Google, the first 2 things that Google recommends are Moonlight and Brokeback Mountain. Those are not the first 2 things that come up.
I had the same thought. I was like, really? Like, yeah. Brokeback Mountain is so old. And
it's from 2005.
It's so old. And I haven't seen it since it came out. So I was like, I don't know that I would put that in as one of the best LGBTQ movies.
And all I will say is that Sarah Nelson doesn't know that she's doing this, but she's better at suggesting LGBT movies than Google is.
Truly.
She comes with Mamma Mia and Pirates of the Caribbean, and I'm like...
Yes. But I also want to talk about how it shows, but I'm a cheerleader, and I want to see that scene of Sarah and Nick watching, but I'm a cheerleader together.
It also recommends Pride, which I haven't seen, but I've heard good things about. Yeah, it's on my list. But yeah, she suggests Mamma Mia, but apparently they've seen that 4 times already. And from the timeline thus far, it's April, which means that they've watched this film on average once a month. That's a generous reading of this situation. But same, Sarah, same.
Great choice.
Sarah goes to get the pizzas because it's pizza and movie night. And Nellie lets out this really sad whine when Sarah gets up. I'm like, oh, my heart. So Sarah comes back with pizza and suggests the most bisexual movie of all time.
So relatable.
Yes. I do have a story because when Eddie and I watched this recently for his first watch, I paused it at this point and I was like, so here's some bi background information that you need. And I was like, there are 2 kinds of bisexuals. There are Pirates of the Caribbean bisexuals and there are the Mummy bisexuals.
Yep.
Either Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz made you realize you were bi, or Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom made you realize you were bi. And Eddie said, "Excuse me, how dare you erase an entire 3rd category of bisexuals?" And I was like, what? And he said, "You forgot about the 2002 live-action Scooby-Doo bisexuals." And I had never considered it, but that might be the ultimate bi-panic movie. Linda Cardellini, Matthew Lillard, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr., and not for nothing. And I was like, fuck. And then I realized I am a Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed bisexual because that, I swear to God, I'm thinking back. And I'm like, Linda Cardellini in that orange latex. That was a moment for me.
Yeah.
And I related too much to Seth Green when like that was happening, and I didn't know why until years later.
Kudos to Eddie for picking up on that, because
I was like, what? You are so correct. But anyway, Nick agrees to Pirates of the Caribbean because it transpires that he is a Pirates of the Caribbean bisexual.
Me too.
And Sarah brings up the summer when Nick was 11, when they had to watch it every evening.
Which is also relatable.
And Sarah says that she knew it was because Nick loved Keira Knightley. And I mean, who doesn't love Keira Knightley, especially as Elizabeth Swann?
Yeah, so Keira Knightley in Pirates was definitely one of the first times I started picking up on it, being like, these are different feelings than than I have felt about other actresses that I admire. Like in the corset, and then she gets into the pirate outfits, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. Like, feeling. What is this feeling?
Yeah.
Do I want her? Do I want to be her? Is it both? It's both, isn't it? Oh God. Bye panic.
Yeah. Plus Orlando Bloom, I mean.
Yes.
Has been on my radar for some time.
The scene that they choose to like show for Nick's like panic is unnecessarily hot.
I know.
I'm like watching it. I'm like, this is a family program. Seesaw, Netflix. This is And I mean, all that happens is like he takes her hand and she pulls away, and he's like,
"It's
sorry."
Really the dialogue.
It is. Blacksmith's hands. I know they're rough.
Don't stop.
And I was like, and I have feelings, and Nick is also having those feelings.
Yeah. Also, another kudos to Kit Connor of just like the perfect acting with just his eyes. Just his eyes.
Yes. So good. And this is the moment where it like clicks for him of like, both is good. And so then presumably after the movie ends, he like goes back to his room and he's got his laptop and he Googles the word bisexual. And I did take note of the autocomplete results this time. It provides a definition. Sexually attracted, not exclusively to people of one particular gender, attracted to both men and women.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And then the other two results are bisexual flag and, again, just the word bisexual.
Okay.
And then we get him watching a YouTube video. Did you do any research about this? Because I did.
I didn't do any research because I'd already like seen that it's a real vlogger. Yeah. But hit me with your research.
Yeah. So yeah, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I did this in the backwards order. But so like I went on IMDb and I found out that it was an actual YouTuber, Courtney J, who is actually bisexual and actually a YouTuber. And so, of course, my first thing was to just go to his channel and start trying to see if these were, like, real videos that existed. They're not. They were made for the show. But I did find a video talking about the experience and some of, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff, which I have the link, so we'll put that in the show notes.
Cool.
But in it, one of the most interesting things was that he ended up, like, asking, like, the producer who reached out to him, like, what made you come to me? And the producer said that Alice Oseman picked him specifically. Was like, Alice only gave us one name. Like, this was who they wanted.
That must feel so cool.
Yeah. So the video, I will send it to you and we'll put it in the show notes. It was really interesting to watch. In that video, he talks about how when he was 14, he kissed his best friend, and that's how he realized that he's bi. And so there was a script that Alice had written for that little clip that we get there, but they gave him some leeway to like rewrite it and change it and make it more authentic. And so he just decided to use his own story, which I thought was really cool. But I also was like, wait a minute, but like high school best friend, like kissing your best friend. I'm like, it's such a good mirror for Nick And so then I just kind of geeked out about that for a little while.
Adorable.
And I was like, this is just awesome. Like, it just kind of is this really cool coincidence because it is just Courtney J's personal story, but it mirrors Nick's journey right now so well that I'm just like, I love that they let him do that.
Yeah, I wonder if there were other videos of him kind of hinting at his journey and that's what Alice picked up on and was like, that's why he's the one.
Maybe, yeah. And then we get the title card, which is super cute. It's got the little fireworks.
Yeah. So then we cut to Higgs in the cafeteria or canteen, and I just have one note in all caps. Look at all the phones. Where's Miss Greenwood now? Where's this phone rule? Makes me so angry.
Yeah. Especially because, like, using a phone is central to this scene.
Yeah, like, they could have done this scene anywhere if they wanted to stick to the no phones rule.
Yeah. So Tara posted a picture of her and Darcy kissing on Instagram and captioned it, "Girlfriends," in all caps, with the rainbow flag. And there's lots of super supportive comments. But then there's one comment that says, "You don't look like a lesbian," which she kind of fixates on. And she deletes it, but she's like fixated on that when there's like, I didn't count, but there's like 3
there's a lot of others
and loving comments also.
Yeah. But that's how it is when you...
Yeah.
One negative comment can rule out 50 positive comments.
Oh, yeah.
And Elle is also on her phone, glued to it. And Darcy is just looking back and forth between them like, hello, I exist. Like,
this is I love the line because she says, "This is a conversational lunchtime gathering we've got going on here."
Yeah.
And it spoke to me like deeply in my soul in a way that I can't even explain. Because I would totally be, like, one of the people, like, just, like, completely sucked into their phone. But just the way that Darcy says it, I'm like, I see you, Darcy. I see you. Tara pays attention, like, puts down her phone, but Elle is still just, like, engrossed.
She's zoned in.
Darcy asks if she's looking at Timothée Chalamet's Instagram again. It's, like, fair.
I didn't realize he was as old as he is.
How old is he? I
think he's like 28 or something.
I thought he was around my age.
But he looks a lot younger.
Yeah, he's like a little Twinkie thing. Yeah. 27.
Okay, I was close.
Yeah, December 27th. This was his golden birthday that just passed. Happy belated
golden birthday.
To Timothée Chalamet. Anyway, but yeah, so they're looking at Timothée Chalamet's Instagram and... Or no, they're not looking at Timothée Chalamet. I was looking at Timothée Chalamet's Instagram.
Oh, so I think it's Tara that says...
Yeah.
She's probably texting Tao again.
And Elle gets really defensive. I didn't write down what she says.
So I can text my friends if I want to.
And she finally... they get her to admit that she has a crush on Tao. And Tara literally squeals.
Yes, the squeal is so perfect.
It's perfect. I'm like, this is the most accurate, like, representation of a group of high school girls at lunchtime that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And Tara and Darcy are both like, "Oh my god, I knew it. And my note just says, "We all knew it." The only one who didn't know it was Elle and Tao.
Yeah. And apparently Charlie, which we'll find out later. But
we're going to discuss that because I
have some thoughts too.
I have thoughts. But Elle is, like, panicking because she doesn't want to say anything because he's my best friend and definitely doesn't like me back. And I would really just like her to cite her sources because if you look at any of the previous episodes have to show us, hard disagree.
Tao's been pining for, like, a while.
Yeah. And, like, it's already hard to believe that Elle doesn't realize he likes her back. But I also think that's part of the reason they had to cut that deleted scene because it's just so obvious that they're so in love that it's just like her insecurity about it would not be believable.
I see where she's coming from.
Yeah. So Elle asks them to change the subject because she, like, really doesn't want to talk about it.
And Tara's like, ugh, boring.
And the episode helps out by cutting to Truum.
Yeah. Tao and Charlie are walking up to the gates, and Harry's behind them. And it clicks that it's Tao in front of him. Mm-hmm. And he, like, runs up and, like, shoulders him. And I'm like,
okay.
You just needed a little physical contact this morning.
Yeah. Harry's love language is definitely like
aggressive physical touch.
Listen, all right. I don't want to make assumptions about the wealthy, but like the boy's probably a bit touch starved. Yeah. His parents are probably kind of distant.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then he also says, watch out, Dick Nozzle, in a callback to Tao calling Harry a Dick Nozzle in the previous episode.
Which is just like another little clue for my little brain being like, he's remembering all these little interactions.
Thanks, yeah. And I will say Tao has some pretty good comebacks because he says
he gets him this time.
If you want my attention that badly, why don't you just throw something at me again, like your last remaining brain cell?
And that goes straight into Harry's heart like a dagger.
Yes. Oh my God. And I have to say, like, if I were a teacher and I saw this and like Harry tried to like ask me to intervene, number one, I would have such a hard time not laughing. And I'd probably just be like, Tao, don't do that again. Like, I just like do like the most half-hearted, like, Tao, no, don't do that. And then I'd walk away and I'd probably write Harry up for instigating or something. Yeah.
Especially because he instigated it physically, not just verbally.
Yeah. And I probably would like celebrate Tao for not escalating.
Even Charlie, who like really doesn't want him to get involved or to fight back, is like kind of proud of that one. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
So then we cut to the music room.
Mm-hmm. And this is at Higgs.
Yes. And this room, I love.
It's so nice. I love like the sound waves on the like walls.
And there's like 250 guitars in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Tara is sitting on the floor looking at and deleting more
shitty comments.
Including "You're too pretty to be a lesbian," LMAO, and "You're a lesbian? What a waste, LOL." I have to say, they're like pretty weak comments. Truly. But like, I can totally get them like getting to you if you're like 15, 16 and like just come out and feeling vulnerable about it. Like, I can get it messing with you. But like, you know, now as a 27-year-old, I'm like, these are such shitty, like uncreative comments. But also, that's what high schoolers are. That's just shitty, uncreative, regurgitating shit that they see on television.
I also think it's probably hitting her, I won't say harder, but like differently than it would someone who isn't considered super popular. Because Tara's supposed to be like really popular. Mm-hmm. And so she probably hasn't had to deal with too much like negativity from people in school. So this is really like her first taste of it in general, and then add the homophobia on top of it. That's got to be a lot to deal with.
And then Darcy's trumpet appears in the doorway, and she just blows really hard into the trumpet to try and surprise Tara, scare Tara, cheer Tara up. I'm not sure. But Tara says that she always sees Darcy coming. And I would like to know where and or how did you see her? Because it's not like there's like a window or anything, I don't think, on that wall. So I'm like, how did you see her?
But I feel like she probably heard her because Darcy doesn't seem to me like a quiet person.
That's true. That's true. And so as Darcy comes into the room, Tara reminds her to be careful with the door, which is both foreshadowing and a callback. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a callback to the comics. Like, if you haven't read the comics, the first time you see this, you don't really know what they're talking about. But if you have read the comics, you know. But that this particular door, if it shuts, it will lock you in. Mm-hmm. Like, it locks from the outside and you can't get out. But that that's how they had their first kiss, is that they got locked in this room and they like had an argument and then they kissed.
It brought them together.
It did, yes.
Also, we see Tara has the clarinet. I think this is the first time we see her with the clarinet.
Yeah.
And my note just says, it really tracks that Tara plays the clarinet as the pleasure to having class lesbian, and Darcy plays the trumpet as the chaos lesbian. Those instrument choices definitely track.
Yep, accurate. And then the band teacher, Miss Hyder, I think her name is, comes looking for them and apparently is the only person on the planet who doesn't know that Tara and Darcy are dating. And I have a lot of opinions about this teacher, which we're going to get to most of later. But for now, my note says, as an educator, I find this hard to believe. They are not being subtle about their, like, being togetherness.
Mm-mm.
And they were not being subtle about it before they were out.
Right. And the way they, like, jerk apart from each other when she comes in, it's, like, very obvious.
Like, you really don't know? You don't know?
Even if she did know, do you think she would say, I know it's fun
I would.
like, hang around with your girlfriend, but...
Oh, I would. I did that. I have two students who, they didn't know that I knew that they were dating.
Told me that.
And they were like, we work really well together, right? We should totally sit together. And I was like, well, I know about the two of you, so no. And they ran away. Yeah, I just find it hard to believe that even if she doesn't say anything, I find it hard to believe that she doesn't know. And she seems kind of oblivious to it. Because, like, even if she weren't going to, like, say, like, it's great to hang out with your girlfriend, like, she would, like, there'd be some, like, tongue-in-cheekiness to it if she knew, and was just trying to, like, let on that she knows without actually saying anything. That it isn't there. I don't like her. I don't like it. I disagree. But so then we go into this band rehearsal, which is kind of, they're, like, setting up their instruments, and this other clarinet player, who is definitely also gay.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know how to explain it. It's just, you look at her and you're like, you are gay.
I know, it's like the obviously queer person.
Yes. And I mean, like, also because she says, like, I never would have guessed that you were gay, but it's so cool and brave of you. And I'm like, you're trying to say you're also gay and not ready to be out yet. Because that's what, I mean, I don't want to equivocate this person to Ben, but that's what Ben said to Charlie.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good, I never thought of it that way. Cool and brave, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, the nervousness in which they say it, like, they don't address Tara. They don't say, like, hey, they just blurt it out towards her.
Yeah. And Tara looks sad, and I'm like, no, it's one of you. She's on your side, Tara. Like, but, like, I also get that, like, she just doesn't like the amount of attention that she's getting because for the most part, it's negative attention and she doesn't like it. I think. Right. Yeah. And then the band is playing The Entertainer. The da-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na.
Squeak!
Yeah. Yeah, this band is not great. Is the way that I'll put that. And I also feel like if I go back to my, like, days in chorus, right? And, like, we would get to watch the other ensembles perform, and I feel like the band and the orchestra by, like, mid-high school were playing more complicated pieces than The Entertainer. Because, like, there's really not any, like, harmony or anything going on. It's just kind of, I'm like, eh.
I wonder if it wasn't just, like, what was the most basic thing that they could get a snippet of to put it, you know?
Oh, yeah, something royalty-free and easy. And yeah. So then Miss Hyder announces that the band will be at Truham all day next Thursday to practice for the spring concert.
And Darcy has no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Darcy's like, what? Despite the fact that this was announced weeks ago. And I'm like, yeah, same.
Right.
Darcy says that same-sex schools are pointless. Then she says, quote, and I'm saying that as an absolute lesbian. Which is a great line.
Such a good line.
It's a good, and then of course that prompts other people to like laugh and like giggle, which it totally would. That's accurate. And then like one kid is like says that she's so gross, and another one says lesbians are so disgusting. Which again, really weak insults from the homophobic students at this school.
And that's the same person that will get a comment from later.
Yeah. Tara is very clearly upset by this and says that people weren't like this before she came out. And Darcy has an excellent solution to this problem. Anti-homophobia cheese.
Yeah. She has leftover cheese from lunch, and she wants to know if she should throw it at them. Which Tara kind of rolls, like, she immediately, like, doesn't really clock it. She's like, no, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. And then she comes back to it, and she's like, wait, why do you have cheese left over from lunch?
It always pays to be prepared with anti-homophobia cheese.
Yeah, it does.
This was almost my quote of the episode. And I will say now that the reason that I disqualified it is because I could never carry around anti-homophobia cheese because I would just eat it immediately.
Same. Yeah, it wouldn't last.
It's not realistic or plausible to have anti-homophobia cheese because it would just be in my tummy cheese.
Yeah.
Okay, can the question on Spotify for this episode be what would your anti-homophobia cheese be?
Nice, yes.
Yeah, I feel like mine would have to be like a craft single. Number one, because like you'd get the like satisfying like it hitting them like as like a sheet, or you could like bitch slap them with it.
Yeah. But one thing I want to say about this scene before we move on, combined with the music room scene, you can really tell at this point that like Darcy's been out for a while. She's got kind of a thick skin built up around these things, but Tara's really struggling, and Darcy is not really
picking up on it,
noticing that Tara's struggling as hard as she is.
And I think too, like that speaks to a lot. Like Darcy is a very extra person. Like she's just very, and like I say this with all of the love in the world. I am also a very extra person. I'm a very sensitive extra person, but like there's something that comes with that level of like owning a big personality. Like you have to let it roll off your back, because if you don't, like it just you can't be that kind of person and that personality if you can't like have the thick skin and let that stuff go. And I do think that because Tara is like so popular, this is like her first time really getting this much negative attention, and it's difficult. And
if you're familiar with the comics, you know that their family lives are completely different as well. And that Darcy is also used to getting all this shit from her family too.
Yeah.
So she's like double experienced in this area.
It just doesn't faze her anymore.
Yeah.
And I also think that the autism that is very heavily coded with Darcy probably comes into play as well. Of just like not picking up on those cues from Tara. But yeah, no, Darcy's really not picking up on it yet. And I actually have like a couple of things about that later as well.
So then we cut to the park with Nick and Charlie, and these outfits are some of the outfits that they wore in some of the promo photos.
I hadn't clocked that.
So I immediately was like, oh, this was the day they did those promo shoots.
Yeah. And Nick asks Charlie how he realized he was gay, which I think is so cute.
It's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question, but it's also cute because it's like, I feel like, because thinking of my students, like a lot of kids who are like questioning and trying to figure things out, they will like ask people who are out, like, how did you figure it out? Like, how did you know? How did you come out? And like, it's just like, it's a loaded question, but it's just their way of like trying to like make those connections between other people's stories and like their own lived experiences to kind of like be like, you have the vocabulary for this. How did you realize it? And so I'm like, it's a difficult question, but I'm like, this is like really a big deal for Nick, because he's finally starting to grapple with some of the vocabulary of like what his identity might be. And I'm really proud of him for that, because that can be scary to like actually be working on putting language to what you're feeling.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely all part of just processing everything. And I'm so glad that he has these people he can talk about this with.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's lucky enough to have that. But Charlie says it's always been boys for him.
Yeah. Nick can't relate.
No, he cannot. He cannot relate. But I love Joe's delivery of it's always been boys.
Yeah.
It's like just so good.
Yeah, no, but Nick just is so confused because he's like, it hasn't always been boys and it hasn't always been girls. And like, I think that confusion also like helps him like settle more like, okay, maybe bisexuality, like I think it's important for him. Like, but you can kind of see the processing happening behind Kit's eyes.
Yeah.
Which I love, just like these little things in the performances. And but Charlie's super reassuring and says that Nick doesn't have to figure it out right now because he doesn't. Like, you don't have to figure it out. You don't ever have to figure it out. Like, yes, language is great, but like you can just be. But Charlie has a suggestion that might help Nick's crisis at the moment. And that is a kiss.
Nick's like, wow. Good excuse for a kiss, Charlie.
I see how it is. But they go to kiss, but then they hear some people and Nick like panics and pulls away. And my heart breaks.
And he feels so bad.
Yeah, like there's so much that goes through his head in that moment.
But Charlie is just the most perfect little sweet baby angel.
So understanding.
And he just tells him, don't be sorry. And he gives him like just the most supportive, cute little smile.
It's just like, it's so loving and understanding. And I love it.
I love it too. I love them so much.
I love them. My sweet boys.
Yeah.
And I did not take good notes on this next bit, so.
It's a very short scene.
Yeah.
Where it cuts back to Nick in his room and he's watching
another video.
YouTube again. And this one, he's saying like, it's so confusing. One day it's girls, one day it's boys. And you're like, well, which is it? And then one day you realize it's both. You can have both and it be okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a beautiful thing that there are people out here like this guy. I know that this was like scripted or whatever, but there are videos on YouTube like this that are people telling their stories and their journeys, and what a cool part of the internet to be able to get some reassurance and things like that. You know, there's so much terrible about like so many terrible things about the internet. And this is just like one of the bright spots that can like really lift people up and help them get through something. And so it's just a beautiful scene.
Yeah. And Nick is just like, he's thinking so much. And I feel like a lot of the things that are being said in this clip, even though it's really short, like resonate so much with what Nick is going through in this episode. And like things that he says in this episode, like, you know, later he asks Tara, like, hey, are you definitely gay? Are you maybe bi? And like, it just is, it's really good for him.
Yeah. It's a really helpful tool for moving him along his processing.
Yeah. But like also, like bisexuality, and we have a whole episode about bisexuality coming out. It's confusing as fuck.
It is so confusing.
and I think that having someone affirm, like, yeah, it is confusing. And kind of mirroring your own thought process back to you. It's just like, oh, I'm not wrong and broken and bad.
Right, yeah. Especially if it's like something that you don't have the language for, like you said earlier. Like he doesn't know how to put what he's feeling into words. And this is somebody else putting it into words for him. And because they've gone through it. And so it's like, not only is he getting this like relatable experience, but also he's finding the words to express what he's feeling and what he's going through.
I love it.
It's so good.
And so we go back to Truum. It's now Thursday. And Nick is jealous that Charlie gets the whole day off for concert rehearsal. And like, me too. I never got the whole day off for concert rehearsal.
Right. But also, as a rugby player, I can't imagine that you don't get to skip class sometimes.
For games and stuff, yeah.
Because that definitely happens.
Oh, yeah. But then Nick asks to go to the concert. He's like, when is it?
Charlie's so confused. Sweet baby boy.
Wait. And, like, I don't blame Charlie. Like, I have been to my fair share of school concerts in my day. I did chorus from 4th grade to 11th grade.
Oh, that's a long.
And then I also had siblings who did band, like, for, like, various times. And so I've been in school concerts. I've attended school concerts for family. They're not the most entertaining things.
Especially when they sound the way they did in that last rehearsal.
Yeah. So, like, I totally get Charlie being like, huh? Come again? You want to come to this thing? But it's like really cute that he wants to go and be supportive of his, boyfriend. Yeah. It's really cute.
But Charlie doesn't even give him a chance to tell him that at this point. Well, because the teacher's like, hey, get over here. And so he just like smiles at him and leaves. And Nick is just standing there looking kind of hurt. Like, but he doesn't really get to think about it too long before Tara shows up.
Yeah. And so Tara comes and says hi. And just like the last time that Nick talked to Tara, he finds the quickest possible reason to bring up Charlie. Mm-hmm. And once again,
her face.
Tara's face. She's like, you and Charlie are getting along well then.
Eh? Huh?
Eh? Huh? Like, I'm just like...
eyebrows up into her hairline.
She knows.
Yeah.
But I love it though, because it's like, she's very much like, it's not judgmental. It's not anything.
Pushy.
It's not pushy. And it creates this perfect moment for Nick to very subtly, he does like a quick look to make sure no one will overhear. But then he's able to tell her that he and Charlie are going out. And I'm like, oh, Nick.
And he's like buzzing with energy too. He's like,
I did the thing.
Yeah, this is the moment for him where it all like really becomes real, because he is said it out loud to somebody that's not Charlie. It's out there in the world now, and it's real, and he is so happy.
Yeah. And Tara is super happy for him and for the two of them.
And she thinks it's funny how they both turned out.
Yeah. Because when they kissed when they were 13, she thought they'd be together forever. And I have some questions about the timeline and like the mythology of the Nick and Tara kiss, because everyone knows about it, but like they don't seem like super good friends or anything. So it's just weird.
They said they hadn't really seen each other since that. Yeah. And maybe what she meant was like in the moment, like
maybe,
and then I would imagine for some time after they probably thought about each other, but like they were at different schools, they couldn't really see each other,
And then just because like everyone, like 3 years later, everyone is still talking about this Nick and Tara kiss. And I'm like, huh?
Like, how many joined school dances did they have? Because this feels like it was the one and only, and that's why everybody remembers it.
Yeah. And then the scene changes, and like it just like cuts to these younger versions of Nick and Tara.
Tiny little babies.
And I have a problem with this.
What is it?
No way in hell those are 13-year-olds.
They're so little, right?
Those kids are maybe like 11, but yeah, no, they're like 8, maybe 10. They're so tiny. And I'm like, these are not 13-year-olds.
They do resemble, like they picked good kids, but they're too young. Too young. Yeah. But that goes back to us being like, that was only like 3 years ago? Like, but everyone acts like it was so long ago. So I don't know. But also I shared this, I reshared it. Somebody else had posted it. I reshared it. And it's funny because, Logan replied to that story that I had shared and was like, little known fact, Kit Connor played both Nicks here. And I just died laughing because I was like, he is. He's like a shapeshifter.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So now every time that I see this scene, I think of that DM that we got.
That's really funny. But yeah, it like takes me out of it. I'm like, those aren't 13-year-olds. Those are like third graders.
Mm-hmm. They're so little. Adorable, but too tiny.
Yeah, too small.
So Tara starts saying like how her and Darcy came out and kind of how people were reacting. And I find it interesting that she did not pick up that Darcy was behind her this time, because Nick's eyes immediately cut to her and follow her behind her, which I guess could be misconstrued as like nervousness about anyone hearing them or whatever. But I was just like, interesting that this is the time that Darcy gets her when Nick is being so obvious about it.
I forgot that I made this note, and it just it just kind of tickled me, so I would like to share. My note here is, a wild trumpeting Darcy appears.
Darcy's so excited that she got her.
Yeah, she's like, yes,
triumphant at last.
I tried to come up with some kind of pun on triumphant and trumpet.
I know, me too.
I was like, triumphant?
I know, it's like on the tip of my tongue, but it's not coming.
Yeah, so, I'm glad that we were like on the same page there. Like, there's something here, but neither of us can find it. Okay.
Let us know if you can, listener.
Yes. And then Ms. Hyder calls for Tara and Darcy because, quote, we're running through it again in a minute. And I am confused because not 2 minutes ago, she was telling Charlie to come set up his drum kit. So what are they running through again when 2 minutes ago no one was ready and everyone is still arriving? This is part of my problem with this band teacher. Just this whole thing seems very, very poorly organized, and it is stressing me out, both as an educator and also as just like a person who's been involved in events and event planning in the past. I'm like, this is stressful. There's no organization here, and I don't like it.
Does she yell at all of the students as much as she yells at Tara and Darcy? Because I feel like she doesn't. She yells at them all the time.
She yelled at Charlie.
I mean, kind of. She was like, hey, your drum kit's not set up. Let's go. But like multiple occasions, she's like nipping at Tara and Darcy.
The way that she like talks a lot, it's giving a teacher who's way over her head. There's just something like her whole vibe is just like overwhelmed and in way over her head. I don't know if maybe because we don't see like a Truum band teacher. So I don't know if maybe there was another band director who was supposed to be with her who like called out or something, or if she's like a new teacher. She seems not super young, but I've also had student teachers who were like 40 before. So like there's just something about her, just like she seems a little in over her head, a little overwhelmed, a little like she doesn't have control of the situation.
Yeah.
And it's stressing me out. I do not have advice for her at this juncture other than like, maybe you should have like scheduled this rehearsal better.
Yeah.
But yes, the whole rehearsal seems a bit like weird, poorly organized. And then Tara invites Nick to meet her and Darcy for lunch.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, where's Charlie?
Well, Charlie's setting up his...
No, I mean like, for lunch.
Oh, yeah, I don't know where Charlie is at lunch. Because he's not there. It's weird. But before we go to the lunch scene, right? Nick looks over to Charlie, and Charlie just gives the most adorable little wave from his drum kit. I love it.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
So then we got to lunch. And Darcy is saying, oh my God, we found another one.
Which I love.
Yeah, such a good line.
I mean, she is trying to get acquainted with all the local gays.
Yeah. I love there's this like theme. Literally every single fanfic that I've read that has Darcy in it has had her like collecting the gays, trying to get the full acronym.
I love that.
So every time I see this, I'm like, she's got her B. Like,
yeah. She's got
a lot of them.
She's got LGBT.
Mm-hmm.
A. Well, I guess we don't really see her with Isaac.
Yet.
And we also don't have any confirmation on Isaac being ace yet.
Well, we kind of do.
We do?
From Alice's recent Attitude.
Okay.
Magazine interview. She was like, Netflix is going to kill me, but
perfect.
They're definitely season 2 is going to have a lot of Isaac Arrow Ace content. So, yeah.
I'm excitedly, silently clapping into the Skype call.
So then we overhear Harry being an asshole to Tao.
Neither of these are very creative.
No.
Retorts.
Yeah, it just like pauses their conversation for a second because Nick turns around to like take in what's happening behind him.
Nick says that he's not out yet. And Darcy is like, do you want to be?
Immediately. She doesn't even let him fully get the sentence out.
It's such a good and important question.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think that like, it's, you know, it's just very much like some of Darcy's like head, mouth, no filter.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But like, it's a really good question. And I think that it's an important part of the processing that Nick is doing in this episode of like, do you want to be out? And I think that especially with some of the things that happen where he, you know, goes to kiss Charlie at the park and he like recoils because someone walks past, like little things here and there. It's like, I think it's like he does, but he doesn't know what to be out as.
Right.
And I think that that's a really important, again, there's so many little things that are just like a really important part of Nick's processing that happened in this episode.
Mm-hmm. And I love how supportive everyone in this group is. Yeah. Darcy's immediately like, well, that's okay. You like, Tara didn't know she was a lesbian until we kissed like 6 times. Like, you don't have to figure it out. Tara's like, it was twice.
I'm choosing to believe that it like averaged out and it was like 4 times.
4, yeah.
Like,
that's what I was thinking too. I was like, it's probably like 4.
Darcy suggests a milkshake double date,
which is an adorable suggestion.
I love it so much. It's just so wholesome.
Yeah. So they're walking back to the gym. And when this scene starts, or when the cut starts to them walking, Nick is on cloud fucking 9. He's like smiling. He's looking up at the sky. Like he is having a great day. And I'm just like, this is just like part of, you can see like part of all the weight of all this is coming off of him because he's able to talk to some people about it.
Yeah.
And starting to like figure things out and not holding it all in. And Tara tells him not to feel pressured to come out until he's ready because it can be really hard, especially if you don't even really know who you are, you know?
Yeah.
I love Tara and Nick's relationship. I love that she's there as like the reassuring, like quote unquote elder gay to be like, don't do it until you're ready because it is really hard. People will think about you differently and you need to be prepared for that before you do anything.
Yeah. And I think it's good to kind of balance out Darcy's kind of like impulse of like, do you want to be out? Because it's like, I think that there is a part of him that does so that he can just be with Charlie and not have the guilt of them having to hide it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think it's important for Tara to kind of bring in that other side and like balance it out because there is like another side to this and the reality of it is like it's not all sunshine and roses and getting to kiss your boyfriend in public.
Right.
It's also people treating you differently and like I'm sure Tara knows Nick's friends and knows that it's not gonna be easy for him.
Yeah. I mean, we know from the birthday, like Harry's birthday party, that she does know his circle and she has feelings about them because when Harry walks up to her to like say, oh, hey, look, Nick's here or whatever, her face is like, I know it's your birthday party, but fuck, I was trying to avoid you this entire night and you've caught me.
Fuck off. Yeah. Like eyes roll to the back of your skull.
And she crosses her arms and like, you know, so
she wants nothing to do with him. Right, but so Nick asks Tara if she's definitely gay, because he's liked girls before, and he's very obviously likes boys also.
Mm-hmm.
And he's wondering if it was the same for Tara, if, like, she's liked boys and also girls. And she says she's definitely gay. And that kissing him helped her realize that she didn't like kissing boys.
Yes.
And Nick's just like,
Great.
Not sure if you should be offended or not.
He says,
he's like,
happy to help,
I think.
This is another scene that I had seen an interview of the cast talking, and Kit was talking about this scene and how the question that he got asked was like about how it was like what it was like to work with Alice and like to have them on set, and like, you know, obviously they're the creators, so they have like this wealth of knowledge, and like, was there any room for them to like ad-lib, and like, what was that like? And he was like, yeah, well, it was all pretty much like set. I guess at like the first take of this scene, he had responded like, ouch, afterwards. And Alice was like, no, like, that's not the line. So I think it's funny that, because that would be your natural reaction to be like,
yeah,
oof, ow, okay. Like,
yeah. And I do think that Nick's like has like that visceral, like physical response of like, ouch, but then like also delivers the line as scripted. And I think that it's like, it's a really good performance. But I also like, I like that this is the line as opposed to ouch, because it's like, it's not about you.
Right, exactly.
It takes some of the like narcissism out of it.
Yeah.
Which I think is good, and it's important to just be like, yeah, no, it wasn't about you.
Right.
It's not about you.
Exactly.
It's about like Tara's journey.
Exactly. Yeah.
And your journey is a different journey. And yeah, no, I love that. I didn't know that. That's cute.
So then we got to Charlie's room. And he is sitting on his bed in my second favorite sweater of the series of season
it's
1.
It's a great sweater.
It's shortly after the leaves at his birthday party.
This one's great.
This one comes in at the number 2 spot for me.
Yes. And then who appears in the doorway with laptop and diet lemonade in hand?
And Snart.
Iconic big sister, Tori Spring. And I literally wrote, Tori, my love, we missed you last episode.
I know, yeah.
Because I did. Right. Yeah, Tori's and this Isaac conspicuously missing from this episode, and I miss him greatly. You can only have one asexual at a time.
I wrote that she slinks in. She like slinks in around.
That's a great way of describing it. But Charlie says that she can't come into his room because Nick is coming over.
She says, I didn't realize you were in a committed relationship.
And Charlie gets so embarrassed.
Flustered.
It's like bright red.
But he can't lie to her. He can't. She knows him too well. So he just ends up babbling like an idiot.
Yeah. I love it. And then she just, in like true Tori, like deadpan fashion, wow. So not ready to tie the knot yet then. Charlie just tells her to shut up, and like there's just the look on his face, like you can see like this conflict of like him really wanting to tell her but like also not wanting to out Nick. And then I think there's also some like still some post-Ben's insecurity, which we get like a whole flashback. I think it's in the next episode, but it might be in Boyfriend.
I think the next one, yeah. About
how like Ben like reacted to Charlie calling them boyfriends. Like there's definitely some that too of like not knowing or not wanting to put a label on the relationship at this point.
Right, for fear of how it's going to be received by Nick.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then he goes to say more, but there is a knock on the door, and that boy is gone.
He bolts. And there's like a little bit of bisexual lighting on the door frame beside Tori. And she just like slurps. She slurps her diet lemonade with a smirk like,
I love it.
Okay, I have thoughts about the next scene.
Please tell me your thoughts.
Okay, so we cut into Charlie's room again. Nick is there. They're doing homework. And this scene is another one that is changed from the comics. And this is one that I have strong feelings about them changing it.
Okay.
Because in the comics, it is Nick staring at Charlie. And Charlie looks up and he's like, what? And he's like, you're staring. And Nick says, you're cute. And then Charlie throws the pin. And they switch it in this one where Charlie is looking at Nick. And I just wish they had left it because I love the idea of Nick staring at Charlie, his super cute boyfriend, just waiting for the right opportunity to tell him that he told Tara that they were going out. And like, it just seems like it just works so much better in my mind for him being like, just sitting there waiting for an opportunity to bring it up. And I just wish they had left it.
Yeah. I hadn't noticed that. I hadn't picked up on that. But that's like a really good point. It makes a lot more sense for Nick to be the one doing the staring. And also I want more smitten Nick.
Yeah. Like everybody knows that Charlie fancies Nick. Everybody knows that Nick fancies Charlie too, but I want to see more like unabashed.
We don't get, to borrow a line from Elle in a little bit, we don't get all the months of intense pining from Nick.
From Nick. Yeah.
I want a little bit of it. I want the like lovey-dovey stares and the heart eyes Nick and I want all of it.
Yeah.
And like we know Kit can do it.
Yes, we do. Amy Winter, Kit Connor.
But yeah, so they're doing homework and Nick says that he told Tara and Darcy about the two of them. And Charlie, and this is a term that I coined a few years ago. Charlie hug-a-tackles him.
Hug-a-tackle.
Because like you hug-attack, but you like knock them over, so it's like part hug-attack, part tackle.
Nice.
Hug-a-tackle.
I love it.
And says, that's amazing, you're amazing. And it's so cute.
Yeah. And this is another turning point for Charlie's processing of this is not another Ben situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's coming out to people. He's doing it. So.
Yeah. But then anxiety kicks in and he like stops and he's like, wait, did you do it because you wanted to? Or did you force yourself because I'm out? And I'm like, oh, you're such a sad, anxious being.
And also just like so cute that he's like, he really does throughout this entire season keep Nick's like feelings in his journey number one. Like regardless of what Charlie's feeling, he wants Nick to go on his own journey and do everything on his own timeline without any pressure from Charlie, even if it's unintended pressure.
And then Nick reassures Charlie and then kissing resumes and Nick like flips them and I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
It's a good move. It's a good move. Yeah. But then it cuts and Nick ties his shoes the weird way.
Weird way. What's up with that? I'm going to put them side by side because we can see Charlie finishing it and we see Nick starting it. So I really want to put them side by side so we can see the full tie.
So strange. And then he asks Charlie about the concert again. And Charlie says that he doesn't have to come and that it will be boring. And can confirm school concerts are boring.
You can tell which one of the two of them has been going to school concerts.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like it's a novelty for Nick, too. He's like,
true.
Seeing how the other half lives. I'm a jock. He's a nerd.
Right. But also just a chance to see Charlie play the drums, which we know Nick loves. So.
And then also, but it's also his way of saying that Tara and Darcy think that the four of them should go get milkshakes, like a double date. And this little exchange is so cute. Charlie says, I've never been on a date. And then Nick says, me neither. Want to go on one. And I sob.
Yeah. Also, Kit's delivery of you want to go on one? Like, the way that these freaking little actors can put so much emotion in so little words. Like, there's fear, there's excitement. Like, everything is all mixed in that one little line. It's so good.
So, yeah. And they can't stop looking at each other and smiling. And like Nick goes to leave like 3 times, but he keeps looking back. And it's just so sweet and wholesome and pure and good.
Yeah.
And happy. And then Charlie closes the door.
And some relatable fucking content happens.
Relatable content. Just this dance.
He just, like, bursts. And all the excitement inside of him just, like, literally comes out of his limbs in every direction.
It's so cute. I love it so much.
Been there. And
then we get this group chat between Darcy, Nick, Tara, and Charlie. Don't ask me why I said it in that order. I just, like, went down. It was, like, the order in which they participate in the chat.
This is another great use of the comic panels. Like, so good.
So good. But this is when we find out that Charlie doesn't know that Tao and Elle like each other.
No.
No.
If this is true, and he maybe just, like, was trying to gauge, like, where everyone else was at on this knowledge, maybe. But if it's true that he really doesn't know, then he's been way more wrapped up in his own shit. Than we realized, because it's been insanely obvious.
Yeah, I literally wrote, Charlie, use your eyes. It's blatantly obvious. How have you not figured it out yet?
Yeah, who are you, Tao?
Yeah. That took me a second to fully process. Like, I don't know if it came through in the audio or for Ashley the video call, but, like, I was like, yeah, wait, and then like my brain was just, like, gonna agree. And then I realized how funny it
was. Like, I feel like he gives some hints in the beginning. Like, he had an idea about what was going on, and then he seems to have just, like, completely lost that train of thought at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm like, maybe it's just, like, because in the beginning he was hanging out with them constantly and seeing it, and now it's been a while. Like, he's been separating himself, at least specifically from Tao, quite a bit, and so maybe he's hearing less of the pining, seeing less of it, and so it's just moved to the back of his mind. But I don't know.
And I think too, like, in the it's also hard to separate from the comics, because in the comics, like, he just point blank says they're in love with each other, but they won't acknowledge it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's at Charlie's birthday when he says that.
Yeah. So I think too, there's a little bit of, like, conflating comic Charlie and TV Charlie.
And also just, like, Tao and Elle's story is a lot different than in the comics as well. So, also I love how each of their rooms is, like, perfect for them.
Yes.
Like,
Darcy's is a mess.
Yeah. I put Tara's room is super cozy and full of, like, stuffed animals, and it has a salt lamp, like, definitely a very chill room. And then Darcy's room is just pure chaos. There's just shit everywhere.
She's pure chaos. Yes. And I love her for it.
I know. Perfect. Perfect little chaos queen.
Little chaos bean. You went for queen, I went for bean. Both accurate.
Yeah.
And so this is, this whole group chat, they're, like, plotting to get Tao and Elle in on their date, to make it a triple date. And, like, as Charlie is, like, going through it, like, his face falls and he just texts, BTW, they don't know me and Nick are together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look so sad.
Because if there's anybody he does want to tell, it's his best friends, And so this is, like, a very sad admission.
Yeah. But Tara is like, that's okay. Like, trying to be, like, super supportive. And just the next 3 things in the group chat, I'm like, this is going to be such a time. So Nick's like, so now it's a triple date? And Charlie says, and Tao and Elle don't know it's a date at all. And I'm like, oh God, this is recipes for disaster. But then Darcy is like, we are such meddling gays, and I love it.
And then Nick is, like, beaming. He's beaming at his phone. And, like, it just fills my soul that he, like, has found these people where he is, like, comfortable. He's a part of the group. He feels like he belongs. And he is, like, he is a meddling gay. And he is excited to be here and be participating.
And, like, it's like this, it's just, like, this joy of, like, finally just, like, being able to, like, have a space to be yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
And just, like, whatever that is. And it's like, he's just a part of this, and he doesn't have to worry about, am I, what anyone's going to say. Like, everyone in this group is super loving and supportive. And it's so sweet.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, no, he does. He's just beaming. And I'm just like, it's just
It's
You're
so good to
finding that
see.
community. Queer community, man. Queer community.
It's life-changing, truly.
It is.
So then we got to outside of the milkshake. Well, I guess outside. The whole thing is outside the milkshake cafe. And this is my favorite Tao and Elle scene.
Okay, but can we talk about Tao's outfit? It is the most Gen Z outfit I have ever fucking seen.
Yeah, I have outfit notes too.
I love it. I love his outfit here. I didn't make specific notes other than just me saying I love Tao's outfit. He's got the fanny pack as like across the shoulder bag,
which is like really popular, I guess. Like because Kit recently did that fashion show, I don't know, somewhere, and I've been seeing all the pictures, and then also like the guy from Young Royals were there, and like I guess everybody that was like dressed by the fashion brand got one of these like fanny pack bags, and they all were wearing them that way. Like it's almost like they were instructed to wear it that way. That's
the style now. Like you don't wear it across your waist. You wear it like a crossbody bag.
To me,
it's weird to me
comfortable. Too. It looks so uncomfortable. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I love the like dancing and the like fishing pole thing. And also Tao is in orange and Elle is also in orange. They kind of match each other.
Aww.
And they didn't know each other was coming. So it's just like, oh, look, another reason why you guys should just date, because you fucking match.
I know. My notes are that these are 100% the actions of someone who is not madly in love with their best friend.
Right. Yeah.
My other note is now I want a milkshake.
Well, I have some milkshake notes too, but I'll hold them.
I think I saw one of your milkshake notes on Instagram.
You did, but I have some other milkshake notes.
Yeah, so Tao didn't know Elle was coming. Elle didn't know Tao was coming. Tao thought it was just bribery to get him to come to the concert, and I'm like,
the boring concert thing. So Elle says, "Oh, so you came for the milkshakes and the milkshakes only?" And he says, "I said what I said,"
which will come back to bite him later.
Then it cuts to the actual milkshake cafe counter. We see the milkshakes being made. And this is where I'm like, see, no, these milkshakes, these blue ones that are being made, they don't even look appealing to me. They look really runny and like not gross. Yeah, they don't look like good milkshakes to me. So yeah. I do not leave this episode wanting milkshakes. I'm like, no, I don't want any of that.
But yeah, we have like a little like milkshake montage.
Yeah.
And then they're sitting down, and Tao asks if they ever play film music, because if ever Tao was going to care about something.
Yep. And it instantly changes his mind.
He doesn't know if there's any film music being played at the concert he's about to go to, but...
Yeah. But he's into it now. The possibility is all he needed.
Yeah. And Charlie's offended. He's like, why would you come if you thought it would be boring? And Tao tries to say he wanted to be a supportive friend. But Elle...
She rats him out so quick.
He came for the milkshakes and the milkshakes only. Tao is offended.
He said, I said that to you in confidence.
And then Darcy is not settled.
Oh, yeah. Darcy starts in.
She's like, so how did you become friends?
She says, you two make a cute pair. How'd you become friends?
And Nick and Tara, she says, you two make a cute little pair. And Nick and Tara
are like,
both give her this same look of like, Darcy, what the fuck?
Yeah. And Elle's face kind of drops a little bit, like, yeah, shit.
And Tao continues to be oblivious.
Yeah, this is where we learn that Elle was Charlie's friend first, and Tao came along as a package deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know that Tao and Charlie have been friends since they were 11.
Yeah.
So about 4 years. And so Elle has probably only been in the friend group 3 years or less, I would say, because they were like package deal status. I'm going to be generous and say it took them a year to get there.
Yeah.
And this is when we get William Gao's great delivery of rude.
It's great. It's great. Milgao is great. Yeah, this is a good Tao episode. Yeah. This whole episode, Tao is being, like, really civil to Nick, given how much we know he hates him. And I'm like...
We really don't see it until the very end when he sits down beside him and he just looks at him fucking disgusted. Yeah. It's like, you really reined it in until that last second of this episode.
Yeah. And it was, like, very much, like, you could tell because, like, he goes to, like, help with the milkshakes, and which we have milkshake discussion before we really get to this point, but, like, he goes to help with the milkshakes and, like, he feels like he's, like, intruding and like, so there's, like, definitely some of his, like, insecurity about, like, losing Charlie to Nick that comes up, which definitely, like, brings out that little bit of animosity towards the end. But, like, this whole time I'm like, you are being really like, maybe Elle is just the secret. Just have Elle around.
She reins him in a lot as it is in general. So I feel like having her there is, like, definitely an anchor for Tao and his just, like, outward disdain for Nick. But it's Tao that suggests that they are going to get a second round. And again, I'm like, I can't imagine having 2 milkshakes, like, in that little amount of time. That's a lot of milkshake.
It's a lot of milkshake. They seemed kind of small, though.
There's a lot of whipped cream on top, though. I'm just thinking about, like, the overload of the sugar. Like, that's a lot of sugar.
Fair.
A lot of sugar.
They're also teenagers.
That's true.
So that's
fair. I used to eat ice cream out of the bucket for, like, hours when I was a teenager, so that makes sense.
So Nick and Charlie go to back to the, like, Lowell, like, RV that the milkshakes are being served out of. This is, like, the most aesthetic milkshake pop-up.
It's so cute.
It's like being run out of an Airstream trailer.
Yeah, and there's like a giant rosebud, like a blue rosebud over next to it too, that it always catches my eye. I'm like, that is so cute. It's everything about this area is so cute. And I saw a TikTok recently of somebody, like, walking around that area. And, like, showing, like, cutting to the show to show, like, where things were set up and, like, what it looks like empty and, like, all this stuff. I'm just like, God, it's so cute. They did such a good job really cool with that set design.
So Charlie accurately describes the bubblegum milkshake as a crime. It just,
and Joe's face is like perfect. And this was the milkshake note that you definitely saw that I shared on Instagram. Nick gets a bubblegum milkshake and I throw up in my mouth a little bit. It's
a little gross.
Like, seriously, nothing bubblegum flavored is good except bubblegum.
Yeah.
Like, nothing.
Yeah. So then Nick decides that he wants to try Charlie's milkshake, which looks like it's just like a chocolate milkshake. Anyway, he tries this and it looks like he's seen the face of God.
Yeah. This is like an epiphany. His life is changing.
And I'm like, dude, you've never tried a chocolate milkshake? Yes. Which now makes me wonder, what is your milkshake order?
Strawberry.
I'm a cookies and cream girl.
Okay, well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, if I'm getting like from Sonic where I can get like a blast or something, it's always Oreo or cookies and cream. But if I'm going to like classic milkshake flavors, it's gonna be strawberry.
Yeah, but if like I had to pick like a classic, I'm boring. I'm gonna go vanilla.
I mean, that's a delicious choice. I wouldn't say it's boring.
Yeah. But anyway, so Nick suggests that they swap.
And Charlie's like, really hell no.
No. So Nick grabs a second set of straws and says that they can share because this is a date. And everyone knows that the official rule of dating is that you can share drinks, which, like, yes.
Yeah.
But I have some thoughts about the straws.
Okay.
Number one, they're paper straws. And paper straws plus milkshake seems unpleasant. And I already hate paper straws. Part of that, for me anyway, is that I recently learned that a lot of the food grade adhesives used in paper straws contain gluten.
Oh no.
And guess what? I cannot eat.
Yeah. Wow.
Gluten. Yeah, so that's never fun. But also, Like they get so soggy. And I'm like, so like the milkshake texture, it seems like a not good combination. And then also the way, like they have like one thick straw and one skinny straw. And I'm like, you're not getting any milkshake out of that skinny straw.
But also like the first round of, if you pay attention, the first round of milkshakes they had, everybody had 2 straws anyway.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to add a second straw this time? Did everybody add an extra straw to, like, were they all going to share round one? That clearly didn't happen because we didn't get to see everybody be disgusted by the bubblegum milkshake.
It's so weird. But anyway, then Charlie suggests that he and Nick go on a date, just the 2 of them, but then immediately tries to walk it back.
The anxiety spiral is so strong. Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't wait for this boy to get some therapy.
Yeah, he doesn't even like let Nick respond to it. He immediately backtracks and just continues until Nick finally decides to stop him.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, my sweet boy. And then it cuts back, and my only note is Darcy continues to not be at all subtle about their plan to try and get Tao and Elle together. Is this the like whole diatribe she goes on about how she and Tara were friends first?
Yeah. My note says Darcy is going so hard. It's really over the top. Her tone when she says that you should be good friends with the person you're dating is like very pointed. And if it was anybody except for fucking Tao, this would have unraveled.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. And I mean, like, it already is because Tao walks away and Elle's pissed.
Ooh, she's so
rightfully
mad.
So, yeah.
I mean, this whole time that they're having this little bit of conversation, she's shrinking in on herself, like trying, like,
yeah.
And Elle she is furious, and Darcy immediately recognizes that she's overstepped because when it cuts back to her face, it's fallen.
But I will say though, before she realizes it, her like fake oblivious, what do you mean? It kills me. I love it. But yeah, she realizes she fucked up, and she's like, oh.
And everything that she's saying is hitting Tara a little too hard.
Yeah. And also, like, Tara agrees and is like, it does change everything, not always for the better. And Darcy, like, looks so hurt. She's like, and because this is the moment where she realizes too, like, oh, this is not a good time. Like, Tara's struggling a lot with this.
This is also where I have my notes about understanding where Elle is coming from, because one, she's still adjusting to life at Higgs. You know, she's recently transitioned. Like, she's making new friends. She's not around her old friends. Like, this entire point of her life is terrifying, let alone adding anything else in, especially it being a crush on her very best friend.
Yes, and especially after the, like, let's always put our friendship first.
Yes.
And all of that from Kiss. It's just, like, it's terrifying. And yeah, I definitely see where Ella's coming from, and I definitely think that Darcy overstepped by quite a bit.
Yep. And so then it goes back over to Nick and Charlie. They asked for Tao to come join, and so Tao is walking up at this point, and they are, again, not subtle. He's like, am I interrupting something? And they're like, what? No, huh? What?
No,
absolutely nothing going on here.
Yeah.
And then it just gets really awkward and really quiet. And I think if you look at Nick's face, it really looks like he's ramping up, like he's about to say something. And then Tao is like, you take those back and I'll wait for these. And so it kind of cuts him off. But I love that Charlie does, like, he's like, are you sure? And they start to walk off, and he pauses and looks back at Tao. And Tao gives him, like, a little nod, like, it's okay, go ahead and go. Like,
And when they get back, Elle asks if they knew about this whole plan. And Nick, my sweet Nick, it's so important that he's the one who says this, too.
Yes.
He's like, we thought it would be fun to go on a triple date. And, like, I love just the gears turning in Elle's brain.
Yeah. She's like, a triple date.
And he's like, me and Tao, Tara, Darcy, and then Nick is like,
and Charlie?
Me and Charlie. And Charlie's like beaming. He's like so proud of Nick.
And so is Nick. Nick is also beaming.
And Elle is like shocked and excited and literally squeals.
Yeah.
And says how happy she is. And she's like, I mean, I'm happy for you too, but you didn't have to witness all of the months of intense pining.
Which is so good.
Yeah.
I love how Charlie's like, I'm not going to tell anyone. Don't worry. Like, Isaac's not going to tell anyone. Like, don't worry. And then Nick is like, I'm dating Charlie. I'm dating Charlie. I'm dating Charlie.
I mean,
it's so cute.
I don't blame him. Like, wouldn't you want to shout it from the rooftops?
Yes.
But then Elle, ever the realist, asks if Tao and Isaac know. And Charlie says that Isaac pretty much figured it out immediately, as Isaac is wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
But that Tao doesn't know yet. And Elle, like, immediately is like, oh boy, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And it's, like, all over.
He knows he needs to tell him, but he's also fucking terrified because Tao's been nothing but rude about Nick from the very beginning.
And, like, I have to imagine that for Charlie, there's at least some hope that, like, if Charlie's like, we are dating, it wasn't, like it's a thing.
Yeah, he's not messing me around.
That Tao might calm down. But, like, I feel like also there might be this, like, insecurity that he might just keep going with it and be like, no, he's messing with you. You're not really dating. It's a joke.
Yeah. Which, like, Tao's really not giving him any reason to believe that he won't just continue this way, you know? Like, so it's an accurate fear.
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation for Charlie to be in because he knows, like, that that Tao has to find out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that the longer he waits, the worse it's going to be. But also, like, Tao is really making it difficult for him to want to be open with him right now. Tao returns and says that the concert is starting in 15 minutes, which, again, I have comments about, which I have a whole rant about the concert very soon.
I'm like, how far is the school?
Yeah.
And is it 15 minutes until setup or 15 minutes until start? Because you're chugging milkshakes. Are you going to fucking run after having 2 milkshakes?
My note says everyone tries to finish their shakes and I get brain freeze just watching them.
It's not even brain freeze for me. I just start gagging. I'm like, they're going to throw up everywhere. And it's going to be like blue.
It's going to be gross. And then they're walking.
Yeah.
There's no sense of urgency. I'm like,
it has to be just, like, around the corner from the school. It has to be.
It has to be. But, like, even so, I'm like, no urgency, nothing.
But this is one of my favorite shots. Yeah, this is one of my favorite shots, like, camera-wise and everything. Like, the way that it's, like, it's almost like it is, like, a one-shot through them. And also, like, Tao and Elle are the most coupley looking of the 3 pairs.
They're sharing the headphones.
The other couples are not even touching. They're, like, away from each other. And it's just, like, so interesting to see the contrast between 2 couples and then Tao and Elle, who are just, like, all over each other. Sharing the headphones. Yeah. But the camera work here and the angle and the flow and everything, it's so good.
Yeah, it's a really great shot. I'm just like, you guys have to be somewhere in less than 15 minutes. Can we get, like, a light jog going or something?
Yeah.
But Elle says, I really love you. And Tao says, oh, I love you too. And then, like, now kiss.
Yeah. Like, now realize the weight of the words you just said to each other.
Yes. I don't want to talk about this concert.
Well, I have a couple of notes.
Go ahead.
That are interesting. Yeah. So we go into the gym and they're setting up and we've got the bullies yet again, making lesbian comments. And Tara she's fully overwhelmed at this point. So she just throws her stuff down and leaves. And Darcy runs after her. Nick sits down with Charlie at the drums, which is like a repeat of the drum scene. However, when Nick sits down, I have no drum knowledge. So he sits down and his foot hits the pedal that controls the, like, cymbals that are on a stick. And so, and it makes the little cymbals clack and he's like, oh my God, was that me? And I'm like, I just want to know, was that part of this? Like, was he supposed to do that, or was that Kit being clumsy and they left it in? Because I like to think that it was Kit doing it on accident.
Cute, yeah.
So yeah, then we get the repeat where Charlie takes his hands and shows him how to drum again, and it's super cute. And this is when they start talking about Charlie not wanting him to come to the concert. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, I just thought you were being nice. And Nick says, I just like being with you, which takes me back to episode 1, I think, or 2, mm-hmm. whenever they're on the bus and Tori asks him, like, what do you want? And he's like, just someone who likes being with me. And I'm like, mm-hmm. You found him! It's so cute! And so Charlie, if you look, he looks away from Nick, and where he looks is at that girl that has been bullying Tara about being a lesbian. She's like in the left corner of the screen. Oh. He looks directly at her and says, but also, like, we've been spending a lot of time together, and if people start to mm-hmm. talk about you, like, I really don't want that to happen. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just like, it's very much on Charlie's mind that girl's not safe. And so I just think that that's interesting that they tied the two stories together with that one.
That's a really good. I never picked up on that. That's a really good thing to notice. I was mostly busy being mad. I have so many questions. Number 1, why is this happening in the gym? Why aren't they in the auditorium? Like, the Truum has, like, a whole music block with these really nice practice rooms. Like, there has to be a performance space. And also, we know that Tao and Otis did the school play together. So there's definitely an auditorium of some and so I'm just like, where's the auditorium? Why is this in the gym? It fucking annoys me. I'm sure that logistically, it's just that they didn't want to have to, like, build another set.
Yeah.
But, like, it really takes me out of it. I'm like, this wouldn't be in the gym. It takes, because you'd have to set up the chairs. There's definitely an auditorium. There has to be.
Unless there's a conflict and the drama team has dibs on.
That's generous.
I have been to a few school concerts that were in gyms. So I guess it never even crossed my mind.
I've never had that. But then also, why do they have all of their stuff out, like, in the gym with them? Like, all their jackets, all of the, like, instrument cases, all their bags. But the other thing is then when everyone comes back after they get Tara and Darcy from the music room, it's all gone. I'm like, where the fuck did this shit go? Like, it's
interesting.
Yeah. But then, no, the really big thing is the call time. Was the call time what's in 15 minutes?
It had to be.
Because typically, for any concert, and I have asked every single person who I knew who did any kind, like, band, orchestra, chorus, any kind of performance thing in school, and across the board for school concerts, you had to be there between 30 and 60 minutes early to, like, get together, do attendance, warm up. You'd usually even, like, rehearse your whole set beforehand. Like, so is that what's going on?
It can't be.
Like, but then it can't be just because of the timing of everything and the fact that the teacher is like, I'm about to open the doors for the audience.
Yeah, and I'm Nick is still sitting there with Charlie, which is just, like, not.
It's so weird. And also, because there's more stuff to talk about before the teacher says that, but, like, you're about to open the doors for the audience, but the students still have their jackets on. They still have all of their belongings all willy-nilly about the gym. Yeah. And no one's tuned their instruments yet. This is the worst organized school concert I've ever seen.
I love that it's giving you so much anxiety. You're like, I can't handle this just watching it.
Yeah. I don't like this concert scene. Just because I was a music kid and none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then also, like, just the fact that Nick was allowed in.
Yeah, and like up there at the drums, that also doesn't.
I'm like, that's none of, there's a lot. Also, so with what you were saying, right, so Nick sits down at the drums, and these boys are being super obvious.
Yeah. And also, they're not, like, talking quietly.
Yeah. And actually, my note is, these boys are being super obvious right out in the open as Charlie is talking about being worried about what would happen if people found out they were together. And I'm like, the cognitive dissonance here.
Yeah.
And then Nick says that he's been researching about being bisexual. And I'm like, oh, yay!
He says he thinks that might be him, but he's not sure. But Charlie in that moment just looks so happy. He's like, and this is Nick's way of being like, I'm working on it. I'm figuring my shit out. Like, I am making progress.
And it's also like a big deal because like, even though he's not sure yet, like this is the first time he's like saying it out loud and naming it. And like associating himself with bisexuality. And like, I have to imagine that he's just like trying it out, seeing how does it feel to say like, I think that might be me. And, you know, that's an important part of it as well. You know, he's on a journey. And I think that we see a lot of really important steps towards the conversations that we see in Boyfriend in this episode.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so Charlie's very proud. I am very proud. Everyone's very proud of Nick.
Yeah. And that's when the teacher notices that Tara and Darcy are gone.
And she's about to open the doors for the audience, despite the fact that no one is ready for the audience to enter this room yet. Like, if I were an audience member and I, like, walked in on the scene, I'd be like...
Again, I just think she's probably, like, I have to imagine with students, especially students like Darcy, like, I'm about to open the door for the audience might mean, like, I've got 20 minutes. Where the hell are these kids? I need to, like, round them to get up and get them together.
I also don't like that it takes her that long to notice that two students have literally run off. And, like, there are a lot of kids. I mean, there's a lot of kids, but it's not that many kids. Yeah. And, like...
It's a fairly small group.
Yeah.
For two schools combined, it's a lot. It's a small group.
I'm like, you need to have some awareness of what's going on because you are in charge of these children right now. But then I have another problem. So remember, they were rehearsing at Truham, in the gym at Truham, and this concert is in the gym at Truham. Why are Tara and Darcy at the practice room at Higgs?
Oh my god! I did not even notice. You're correct. Oh man. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I did that. That flew right over my head. That is a good catch.
This is in the comics too. So Alice, you done did fucked up. I love you, but this is like a plot point and it's a major continuity error.
Dang. Good catch. Yeah, I
did. Let's talk about the scene now. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm like this. Did you run all the way to Higgs?
Like we know they're close, but they're not that close.
They're not that close, yeah.
So yeah, Tara's in there, sitting in the same spot we saw her earlier, and she's crying. And Darcy comes in and just runs right on in with no awareness of the door. Slam shut.
I mean, yeah, I get it in that moment because she's just worried about Tara.
For sure.
And yeah, but yeah, the door slams shut, locks them in, and of course, there's no signal.
Yeah. Classic.
And then she says that she can't believe this is the second time we've been locked inside our makeout room.
And Tara just looks at her.
Yeah, just like, not the time.
Yeah, you can see the tears coming down her face. And Darcy, her face falls and she's like, sorry.
Yeah.
Tara's like, it's fine. I didn't want to do the concert thing anyway. Like, fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it.
And that's when Darcy says, talk to me. And this is where Tara just lets out everything she's been holding in this entire episode, basically. It's like word vomit, just all spills out.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so like heartbreaking because like Darcy too is like, she wants to be supportive, but she also is like having her own insecurities of like, do you regret it? Do you regret this? Like, I'm sure there's also some guilt of like realizing oh shit, this has been going on and this is coming to a boiling point and I haven't been there. To which I would say, Darcy, you are 16. It is not your responsibility.
Yeah.
But I also get it. I also get it that you're 16 and you think that you can do everything.
Yeah. And at this point, Darcy does just hold her and listen and reassures her that it's going to be okay. And Tara says that Darcy has it all figured out. And Darcy's like, I don't know anything about anything. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything. And so it's just like a very cute moment between them where they have been on different pages this whole episode. And in this moment, they come back to the same page. And they... they kiss after she says that they can just live there. She just says, I want to just live my life. And Darcy says, we can do that. And they kiss. And then we get the like sparks and the music notes flying around them and the lovely song.
Flirting with her starts playing. I love it.
And I love Darcy's like, you seem gay enough to me.
Great. Yeah. And then we have Nick, Charlie, Tao, and Elle running down the halls searching for them. And Darcy hears it and just goes, homophobia!
Yes.
But, yeah, so
they come bursting in the room. And
Nick very helpfully informs them that they're supposed to be on stage, like, now.
Yeah. And I love Kit, like, you can tell that he's not used to having his hair parted this way because he, like, he pushes his hair back, like, the wrong way and it just fucks his hair up a lot more. Also,
but it works because they've been running and it adds to the, like, frazzled franticness of the scene.
It definitely does. And there's a clip of this in the blooper reel that they released also where they made it all the way through this scene with Joe having his mask on before anybody noticed. And I think that is hilarious. And like also would happen because everybody got so used, you wear the mask all the time. Nobody's going to see it. Like, and it's funny because he's with everybody else who doesn't have on a mask, but nobody picked up on the fact that he had it on still.
Like, honestly though, that's like whatever PA or whatever was doing last looks fucked up. Yeah. Like someone was supposed to do supposed to look him over. And it's not entirely on Joe.
No. I just think
there's other people who totally should have on it too.
I just think it's so funny.
But yeah, so then we cut back to the gym and magically all the instrument cases and book bags and jackets are gone.
Well, first we see them running down the hallway and we get to see Tao doing his terrible run, which is a setup for boyfriend. It's like, I can't run.
Yes, from this episode. And so Charlie sits down at his drum kit. Tao and Elle go to sit in the audience, and Nick goes to help Tara set up the clarinet,
which is like weird.
It's weird, yeah.
But I like to think that he wasn't really going there for the clarinet. This was him taking a moment to check in with her. He's like,
make sure
clearly she was going through something, and so he wants a moment alone with her to be like, okay, Are you going to be okay? Like,
because he's just so gentle and sweet and supportive.
Yeah, my note says, what a pair these two are. Two of the purest souls. I'm so excited to see their friendship grow.
Yes. I know, and I love thanks, boy, I kissed one time.
No problem, girl, I kissed one time. So good.
It's great. I know, and it's like, it's so funny because like that just, in like Kiss, it was just like this thing of like, it was one time when we were 13. And it, like, became, like, the entire thing with these two.
Yeah.
And then Nick goes to sit next to Tao and Elle.
Yep. And this is when we get Tao's look of disgust, like, ugh.
Like, disdain. Yeah.
Nick.
I'm like, you're the one who left a seat there for him, Tao.
Meanwhile, Nick is just fucking beaming at Charlie. It's like, open your goddamn eyes, Tao. Jeez.
He just doesn't... Selective memory.
Yeah.
And then... Miss Hyder, like, walks out to, like, conduct, like, signals for the students to lift their instruments, and the episode ends before we are subjected to whatever they would have played at this concert.
We do see, though, right before, we see Elle look over at Tao and get little butterflies again.
Yes, that's true, yes.
But yeah, my note about Tao is, like, it says... The way these two look at each other, I just don't understand how Tao is so clueless. It has to be pure stubbornness at this point because their energy is bursting all over this gym.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. How no one in this gym knows is beyond me.
No way. So, what was your favorite quote?
Wow. So not ready to dive in that yet then.
Very good.
I love me a Tory line.
Yes.
I was thinking about the anti-homophobia cheese. I thought briefly about homophobia. And then I also, what was the other? There was one more that I had thought briefly about, but I can't find it now. So we're just going to, happy to help. I was like, that was the other one where I was like, these are all like the contenders, but I can't not. I love me a Tory line.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a Mr. Ajay line or a Tory line, it's probably going to be mine.
Mine was a, landslide. I didn't even have to think about it. It always pays to be prepared with anti-homophobia cheese. My own name is anti-homophobia cheese. So whenever I, share my hotspot, it's that's what it comes up as. And it's so funny because I did that and I, didn't even, I just did it and didn't think about it. And then later, I guess it was Christmas or something with my partner, and it was at his sister threw this big friend. It was mostly her friends basically. And we were there and he was trying to connect to a hotspot and he screenshotted it and sent it to me. He was like, this Wi-Fi network. And it was anti-homophobia cheese. And I just cracked up and turned to him and was like, that's me. That's my phone. And he had no idea. And then he was like, well, why is it anti-homophobic? And so then I had to show him the scene and explain everything. But so where did you fall on the Heartstopper scale?
A 2.
Okay.
There's a lot that happens. But there's really only little moments where I feel like I get close to heart stoppage. I love a lot in this episode, but it's not stopping my heart so much. Maybe 2.5.
Yeah, I said a 3 again. Definitely the scene in anytime that Nick came out to anyone, I was like, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
The scene when he tells Charlie that he came out to Tara. The scene where he asks him on a date and Charlie explodes with excitement, but none of it was code. I didn't have any code blues.
Yeah.
So
yeah, probably a 2.5 for me.
Solid.
All right. So that's about everything we have for this episode. And of course, this is a bi-weekly podcast by two bisexuals. So we will be back in 2 weeks with a very special bonus episode all about bisexuality.
And if you want to follow us online, we are at Why Are We Cast on all platforms, including TikTok now. And if you like this, please consider rating and reviewing us, as it will help others find us.
Until next time, bye.
Bye.